Okay, I am joined by Danni McCormack. And Danny, we haven't heard from you now in a little while. Of course, you had that massive fight on the road to the UFC very, very recently, but the dust has kind of now settled. And, we're a few weeks removed from the chaos. You did some interviews and stuff in the immediate aftermath. How are you feeling now that you've sort of recovered from that war?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I suppose it's not a good sign that you haven't heard from me. It's because there wasn't anything positive that came out of it. Like straight after the fight, 2 days later, I think I just did an interview with Sean Sheehan, and then like a few hours later, I heard that, Mick Maynard had said to my management that they weren't going to give me a contract, that I didn't have a strong enough finishing record and I was too old. He did comment that I proved that I could have exciting fights, but he thought that that was more a one-off rather than something that I always do, which is a bit disappointing because I don't feel like he actually watched my career, if that's what he says. But anyway, he said because of that, because of the exciting fight, that I was going to be first in line for short notice. So we waited a few weeks, and a short notice fight. Well, it wasn't a short notice fight, but a girl did pull out of a fight, and we tried to get that fight for me. And when we approached them a second time, the answer had kind of changed. Even Mick said he wasn't taking me, and that was the way it was. That he wasn't interested. So I think the we'll get you if we need you was kind of just throwing me a bone, but I don't think it was actually realistic. And I was ready to go to take that fight where the girl had dropped out, but they weren't ready to take me. So after that happened, I went and I was meant to get my tonsils out all year, but because of possible fights, I kept cancelling it. So I literally just rebooked my tonsils and got that done. So I've been out sick for 3 weeks after that, and that kind of gave me some headspace to stop thinking about the UFC, because I couldn't think about the UFC when I was barely able to talk. And I was in such a bad way after that. So it was a good bit of physical pain to get rid of some of the mental pain, I suppose, that was going on the last few weeks.
A mindfulness, I think they call it. When you've got something else to worry about now, it kind of pushes everything else to the background.
Yeah.
You've been pushing so relentlessly over the last while, obviously, to kind of get to that UFC position or get that call, and you've been maybe running yourself probably into the ground as your immune system is probably telling you. It has been good to sort of see things from maybe a slightly different perspective now over the last few weeks. What has that sort of what view do you have now of your fight career, and what are the options available?
Like, it's hard not to be disappointed, and it's hard not to look back and say, if I had done this or done that or done the other thing. And it's hard not to just like keep doing that. And it's even hard to watch the UFC and watch the Contender Series, because I'm watching the level, and like I've never felt more sure than this year that, like, I'm not just the level, but like I'm top 15 level. Like those girls that fought on Saturday night, there was 4 strawweights, and I really didn't think a lot of the fights, to be honest. But it's so disappointing for me, because the end goal was the UFC, and when I put my mind on something, I can usually make it happen. And this is the first time something's happened where I couldn't make this happen. That, like, I couldn't matter what I did or how many, I got out of my contract, I moved up weight, I took the Road to UFC fight, I did everything in my power to make this happen, and I have no control, unfortunately. The only person that does is Mick. So, and whatever I'd done to him in a past life or something, he really just doesn't like me. So, going forward now, like, there is loads of options on the table. Like, I'm pretty sure, like 90% sure, I won't retire now. There was definitely like some time there a few weeks ago where I thought, like, it's time to just hand it in now. Because why do I keep doing it? So, like, what's the motivation now? I want to be the best in the world, and I proved I was the best strawweight outside of the UFC by being the Invicta champion twice, but I can't get into the UFC. So I can't prove I'm the best in the world. So what are other motivations to keep fighting? Well, it's money, or it's because you like fighting. So if it's money, it's an easier one to continue on with, because our business at home really takes a hit when I fight. So if I'm just fighting because I like fighting, it's not really a good business move for us in our life and for all the kids that we're training and bringing to competitions. That doesn't really make them any better. But could I fight for money for a year or two? Maybe. And that's what I'm looking at now. But unfortunately, there isn't a lot of opportunities for strawweights. So it'd be most likely at a different weight class.
And you mentioned there other offers being on the table. Have you spoke to some other large scale promotions over the last while?
Yeah, we've spoken to PFL. We've spoke to PFL as in the US company, and we've spoke to them on the European side as well. At the moment, my management is reaching out to the Ultimate Fighter producers, and because this year it is kind of time again for strawweights to come through, or even flyweights to come through. So my management has got like a small little, a 5% chance that they could get me into the Ultimate Fighter. But I honestly don't think I would get in with the 9-2 record. I think they take people with like less than 6 fights, especially women. So I don't think that will happen, but that's maybe. My management's also reaching out to Octagon, and I've reached out to Invicta myself. So Invicta want me back 100%, and they said I'd go back as champion straight away. PFL have offered me both the US and the European deals, but for the US it wouldn't be straight into the tournament. They'd want to see me fight as a flyweight first and then slot into the tournament the following year. For Europe, I could go straight into the 100k tournament as a flyweight if I wanted to. Octagon haven't, I don't know, have they got back yet, but I have actually beaten the girl who was the champion there. I bet her a few fights ago. So she just lost the other night to a girl that got released from the UFC. So that would be a fun fight for me to fight, that girl, or fight the girl that I'd already beaten. There's a bit of a storyline there. So there, I suppose the options. ONE FC is not an option because they don't deal with management outside of Asia. So my management have told me if I want to do ONE FC, then I kind of have to go freelance on that myself. And I suppose, unfortunately, ONE FC have a bit of a reputation of trapping people in contracts and not giving them fights. So unless I had someone that could give me a really watertight contract that would say I'd get 3 fights next year and get to fight for the strawweight title, then ONE FC is off the cards. So for strawweight, it's Invicta or Octagon, and for flyweight, it really would be PFL or Bellator, like the PFL Bellator, whatever you call it.
Yeah, PFL, I think Shawnee Sheehan christened it, and I like that. I'm going to stick with that. So you're talking about kind of flyweight options, the ones that would be looking at you to be more active and be, tournament based. Down like they're going to be the flyweight options. Would that suit you if you were going to have to be fighting at 125 pounds? I mean, having to put weight so regularly, like 3-4 times a year, making flyweight, I would presume, would probably take a hell of a lot of a toll on your body doing it that frequently. Or sorry, making strawweight. So maybe
Yeah,
making flyweight in a tournament might actually. I mean, we often see people go into the Ultimate Fighter house and compete at a weight above their natural or their regular weight class, don't we? Because they have
absolutely.
to actually make weight frequently. You think something
Yeah,
like that, like a tournament with lots of activity, given that, what is it? How old are you? Are you?
34. Yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah,
I mean, activity. I presume at this stage you probably just want to fit fights in. So I
yeah.
would presume that kind of sounds appetizing to you, no?
Yeah, like look, I'm a serious competitor. Like I have been since I started this, and I know I'm the best in the world at strawweight, but I don't know that I'm the best in the world at flyweight. And for me to get the most out of myself, it is at strawweight. That's where I have the physical advantage. So I go into a flyweight tournament with a physical disadvantage, but in my head. I am very skilled fighter, and I have a hell of a lot of experience. And I think I could go through a lot of those flyweights the same way I did with Yan Qihui on the Road to UFC. She had something like 30 fights with 22 finishes. And I think out of the 22 finishes, like nearly all of them were first round finishes. And I brought her into the depths of despair, and I nearly finished her 3 times. So that's what I can do to a flyweight. But Yan Qihui was my height and like a blown up little, straw weight, in my opinion. So fighting these big, tall flyweights, am I the best in the world? I don't know that, but I know I get a big head start because of my skill level and because of my experience. I think I could take a lot of them out. Realistically, I could win the 100 grand tournament. I could, 100%. But realistically, could I beat Dakota Chiva in 12 months' time? I don't know that. I really don't. So if I'm going to go flyweight, it has to be for a big payday. It has to be either the Ultimate Fighter, it has to be like it was Contender Series as such for the UFC, or it has to be for a big tournament. So if I'm going to move up to flyweight, it's got to be for the 100 grand. And if I can do that and I can win that tournament, then let's get a shot at the World Series the following year and just go for it. But I am 5'4". I do make strawweight. Will I be the biggest flyweight out there? No. But can my skills get me a hell of a long way and put some money in the bank along the way? Well, yes. And I don't talk like this. I talk about wanting to be the best in the world and not caring about money. But the UFC has taken that away from me. So I have to go and figure out a whole new why and reason to keep going. And the only way I can see that I can tell my husband and my kids in the gym that I'm going to be gone for so many fight camps next year is if it means we're putting a big load of cash in the bank account for the future. It can't be just for the fun of it. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment. But I'm open to suggestions if you have any ideas what I should do.
I mean, it sounds like you've kind of got, you've reached out, or certain promotions have reached out to you. It sounds like the big names in the market, the big hitters have kind of reached out to you there. There's not a whole lot outside of the ones you've mentioned, I presume, that would be worthwhile financially, maybe competing in. Those are kind of the biggest players, aren't they, in the fight promotion game?
Yeah, I think
Is
so.
is there any that really outside of the financial decision that you're talking about there, and maybe the availability of certain matchups? Is there any promotion out of that list that maybe just the idea excites you the most?
Like, to be honest, the one that like we're not even approaching, which I probably should try and get somebody that has an in with One Championship. Like, I watch One Championship every Friday that it's on here with my husband because he's big into Muay Thai, and they've got the physically biggest belt there is. Like, it's massive.
I've held a couple. I've held. Jonathan
Yeah,
Haggerty brought them over when he did seminars here. He did a seminar here for Ryan Curtis earlier in the year, and I got to
it
hold. I got to hold one of his belts. It was pretty big.
is big. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So impressive.
so here I am, 34 years old, talking about how big the belt is. It just showing where my head's at. But like the Asian girls are crazy, exciting, and they do mad shit like over there, and they have soccer kicks and everything on the ground, and they've awful, fun fights. So I do think it'd be fun. Someone like me, very European and very like disciplined and technically based to go over and fight some crazy Asians and have fun fights and come out with that big belt out of it. But I just don't know if they would set me up correctly, if they'd give me the fights, if they'd tie me up in contract and I'd end up retiring in 2 years because I hadn't fought. So yeah, like that's actually the most exciting thing. Apart from winning 100K or winning a million, like, my husband wants me to go back to Invicta and be the greatest ever strawweight there ever was that didn't get into the UFC. He wants me to win as many belts as possible out of Invicta. Just stack up the cupboard with Invicta belts. But I said to him, imagine standing in the octagon holding $1 million check in your hand. I was like, how would you feel about Invicta then? And he's like, okay, maybe. So, money can be exciting too. So the size of the belt, the accolades, the money, that's what we're reaching for now. Something fun, something that gets us up in the morning, and something that makes it worthwhile outside of Relentless.
Yeah, and it kind of sounds like, just listening to you talk, it sounds like, you floated the idea of retirement, but it sounds like deep down that you really want to just you want to find something that gives you that drive to kind of keep that competitive flame burning for a while. Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me. Anyway, you're not ready to let go yet.
No, and like, my coach has told me to let go. Like John said, you've done it all, focus on Relentless. You've got a great bunch of kids there and a great team, and you've got great success. So go and focus on your business and make money out of your business. And, he thinks I've been there, done it all. But like, and I know every fighter will be in my position at some point where you won't want to let go, but I am the best I've ever been, other than my immune system and this bloody sickness crack. That's the only thing that like worries me about continuing on. If I can get a hand on this sickness and hopefully get my tonsils out, as will help that, I am actually physically the best I've ever been. I'm stronger, faster, fitter, and I'm technically the best ever. And 9 years later, which is mad because I've never been older, but I've never felt better. So, like, hopefully in 2 or 3 years' time, if I felt those things all started to go the opposite way, that I would be able to pull away from it and pull back. But I just don't feel like this year is the year. And maybe I'm delusional, and maybe people are saying she should just head off now into the sunset. But I do think I have definitely another good 2 years in me. And hopefully I can go into it and get some accolades, get some cash, and keep my health and keep my head along the way, and just keep pushing for more. Like, that's what we're all doing, isn't it? Like, what's the end? Like, how do you reach your full potential in life? And I still have opportunities to push myself further. And if I lose and if it all comes crashing down, so what? Like, I'm okay with myself. The UFC doesn't want me. Mick Maynard doesn't like me, but I like myself. So I just need to keep going now, and it will eventually come down. But for now, I think, yeah, I'm definitely motivated to keep at it.
Excellent. Look, enjoy the downtime now. I'm sure there's a bit more chaos further down the line. This story has quite a bit to go yet, and I'm sure we're going to see you back in action very soon. Thanks so much for your time today. You're a legend.
Great. Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Cheers. Chat to you soon, Danny. Bye bye.
Ellie, bye. Bye-bye.